Hello, and today I'm going to argue why Bitwig is like the best for the time being. Right now. It's missing some functionalities, like, for example, a spectrum from the EQ5. So Ableton has like an actual spectrum in the EQ5, which is really nice. This one unfortunately does not have a spectrum when you play on it, even though it looks like it does have a functionality that will be added for it in the future, which is really cool. Cause I like having a spectrum. They don't have like they don't have a spectrum analyzer. I can't say that right now. But that's probably something that'll be added as well. And they're also missing an OTT multiband compressor that's like native to Ableton. That would also really, really help. There's something I'm thinking about with the MIDI right now that I can't quite remember that's like bugging me whenever I do MIDI. It's missing like FL Studio, for example, has like an option to like cut notes. Like riff, like I think it's called Riff Machine. Can like cut your notes, automatically arpeggiate them, glue notes together, automatically take a note that's not quite reaching another note and like auto stretch it to how all your notes line up. Yeah, that's cool, but it does have like that precise thing here for like if you want to change your ending very like precision wise, and you just like hold shift and you can apply like a custom end to it and stuff like with snap and all that, which is really cool. What's really nice is if you have two projects, you can you can actually have two projects open is what I'm trying to say. So I have a tab here for this new, and then I have a tab for like a project that I'm making, that I've got going on over here, right? So you can have like multiple projects, but this one's actually got like the audio engine on where the other one like doesn't, right? Like if I play a sound in here and then I put a synth in here, like Serum, it's not actually on. I'm still playing the sound out of here, because you can see in here there's no audio coming from the master track or anything. It's all from this master track, which is pretty cool in my opinion. What's also really cool is the other day while I was doing stuff, I decided, come on, load, so I made a chord stack in here, and basically what I was saying to myself was I really like the chord stack I had going on in here. So what I could do was select all my tracks that I have here, all my instruments with the settings on them and everything. I'll turn on the audio device for this. You can only have one at a time though. So turn on the audio device. This is what this chord stack sounds like. And I was like, okay, I really like that. So what I did was I have the chord stack inside of a group folder, right? So it's going to take all my plugins here, and you can see what I've got as like EQing functions here. And on my master channel even, there's a reverb and a compressor. And then I just like Control C, the master channel, went into my project and just clicked on the sidebar over here and just Control V. My chord stack's in here. And if you've noticed, like everything has followed it over. Everything I've done to the plugin, and it sounds the exact same, which I thought was awesome. It even copied the MIDI. You can drag like MIDI back and forth through projects and just like plop it down, and like it'll bring the instruments with you if you bring the tracks with you. I believe you could even come into a project, control click a track of any choosing, drag it over to your tabs, and drop it in, and it'll copy the track over to that project, which is so cool in my opinion. Because like if you're working on a project and you're like, maybe I could go somewhere different with this part of the song, and you want to like test it out in a different project just to keep things like cleaner, instead of just having like what I usually do, which is take my project and then like I'll just like move segments of it around and just have them scattered all over the playlist, which is just like and then it just gets super messy, and then like there's arrangement problems. So that's one way to keep it really clean. I like how you can have dedicated audio tracks and then like dedicated instrument tracks. I like how you can have as many effect tracks as you want, and like it'll make it work. Like, how many effect tracks do I have right now? I can keep going. So, like, I have like 23 effect tracks, and then when I come in here, it shows all my effect tracks and all their sends. Never would you need this many, but like still, it's really, the idea is just super cool. I like how you can have a track and then like shift click from one track to the other, and then just select all of them. For some reason it's not working. You can just do that, and like you can just click delete and it'll delete them, but it's not deleting it because I'm trying to delete a really large quantity of effect tracks. So what's happening is Bitwig's crashing on me. Oh no, just need to process what I was trying to ask it to do. Let's try it again. Effect tracks are pretty important when it comes to this deleting. Like, it was lagging when I was deleting it because they're just like really big. They're connected to every single audio track and such, right? So it has to like deconnect itself and then delete and such. So not to mention this is already a project that has stuff going on in it. So yeah, you can color like your tracks actual nice colors. I feel like in Ableton the color's like too bright and in the wrong places, and then in FL Studio they're not the right color, they're not the right shade of the color that they're being portrayed. And then in Cubase it just makes you feel like a moron when you use the colors in Cubase because it's just so colorful, I guess. Like, Cubase just looks way too professional to have like brightly colored tracks on it. It's too vintage looking. What's also really nice is in the browser configuration, every DAW has this. It's where you select like to look for everything. You can select like as many VST locating plugin areas as you want, and you can enable this little orange thing, monitor this location for file system changes. As like it comes automatically on, but you basically like add like, you can add plugins. Like, I'll add a plugin while my DAW is loaded, and then when I click like 2 seconds later, come in here and search for something, it's already there because it's already detected the update. Where in every DAW I know, maybe except Ableton, I'm not remembering so much right now, but you have to like scan, and in Cubase or like FL Studio it takes like forever sometimes to scan. Like, it's horrible. Yeah, you can select your plugin locations. You have a music location, which I believe is for like your music library that you play. I'm not sure what the point of that is, but you can do it. Maybe you can use as a music player. There's an info tab as well. It shows you all your used files and used plugins. So if you forget something, like if you delete an audio on file, you can find it in this used files. You can like, if you're making like an actual professional make and you want to have all the copyright and all the like the genre and the year and the producer and all that stuff, you'd find like an album. You can throw it into the project right here, and I think this might be reflected when you bounce it as well. You have like your studio in out options, which is part of your preferences, and then you have like the MIDI section here. I believe this is where you map your MIDI controllers to certain functions. It also has this really cool ability where when you zoom in, it just keeps making grid lines relevant to what you're doing, like how far you're zoomed in. So you can just zoom out all the way over here, and then you can see I'll have like a snap line to like every beat. But then if I zoom in and do it, it's now way shorter. And it just keeps going and going and going, and then it stops at like really, really tiny intervals. And like if you have something that's incorrectly lengthed, like this, say like that's not on anything really, when you go and drag it back, it will just connect it automatically, not like in FL Studio, where it will just kind of snap it to a point relevant of its starting position, it actually snaps it to the grid, so you don't have to worry about like fine tuning any kind of snaps. Yeah, you can go through color things. You can name your MIDI tracks like that. You can name them. You can also name the instrument. You can rename the plugins you put in here. Like if I double click on this, I can say equalizer, and now it's called equalizer. So if you want to like keep things closed and you want to know what they are, then you can double click to close things. Also, you can have all your effects in like a big chain like this. I just put guitar rig in there, didn't I? Well, that was a dumb idea. But I really did not want to put guitar rig in here. Yeah, you put them all in chains. You can double click them and close them. The VST view is really good. By far the best one I've ever seen when you load a VST. If I load Serum, it'll list everything in here based on like its relevance in the scripting of this. Also, there's like this little knob panel you can pop out of like any like VST and effects. And basically what you can do here is you can assign this knob to do something inside of Serum. So like now I can... So I can move stuff in there. So I can make... So Serum's saying, oh, I only have 4 macros in here. Well, with this, I can have many, many more macros. I have like up to... I have like 8, and there's 4 in here now. So now I have like 12 macros, and I'm sure there's a way to get even more. You can search in here for whatever it is you're looking for. Type in pitch, it'll show me everything to do with pitch, and there's the pitch bend that moves the actual pitch wheel inside Serum, as you can see. No, you're supposed to be at... Why is 0 not 0? Like, I don't understand. I think someone's saying something else. So yeah, there's an option to save a preset. So for example, if I come into the Serum and then say I just add some random wave, right? You can like put on the most complex things in any plugin. Right? I just did all this stupid crap in here. When I come in here and I click the save button, I can save this as this. And you can also save it with like tags in case you have a lot of them, like what category it's in, add a description. Okay, it's saved. I'm just going to delete this. I will start a new project. Delete that one. I'll start a new project with nothing in it. Turn on my audio. Open, or not even, come in here to devices, like when you add, and then go to presets, and there's a preset called delete me, and then I click on this, and it's the exact stuff I just did. So it's saving all of my parameters inside of Bitwig, not even inside Serum, which I think is so cool, because then I can do things like take Bitwig's drum machine, and I made one called Dubstep 01, and this one's already got my like kicks and snares all set up and all EQ'd and all ready to go, like all side chained. Although I'd have to come in here and select the input for the side chain, obviously, because it doesn't know what I'm trying to use for a side chain, because I didn't put one inside here. And yeah, like that's one really cool feature that I really enjoy here. You can also see all these parameters from the side, which I think is cool. You can bounce things fairly easy inside this. So if I bring over, I'm gonna keep using this chord stack for all my examples. I have this chord stack. If I wanted to bounce this, you can bounce in place or just bounce. This is what bounce in place does. It'll just... So like if I came in here and muted these, yeah, it's playing that audio now, all the things that were in here. Or I could just come up here and let's go back. You can undo a bounce. You can just click regular bounce and then choose before pre-FX fader, post fader, and then it'll just bounce the chord stack master. So like whatever's going to like this group channel, not individually these. You can drag it out and then click on the chord stack and click deactivated, and then now this thing's off and you're left with this audio. And that was like the quickest freeze that you could have hoped for. Because in Cubase will take forever to freeze your tracks. Granted, if there is a lot of stuff going on in the track, it will take its time to freeze, obviously, but then you can just like deactivate it right when you're done. You can do Alt-A as a shortcut for deactivating it. So if I want to bounce something, I can do Control-B on the MIDI, Control-B, Enter, and then Alt-A. Oops. Alt-A. And it's done, just like that. You can drag out the audio, although the audio won't play because I had it muted. It came from a muted spot, so I'd have to do this, and then... Yeah. There is a glitch. There are some glitches, though. This gets updated fairly often, so, for example, the one glitch I can think of is... I have this in here, so when I deactivate my chord stack and then drag out this audio is still, there's nothing wrong with this audio, no volume is turned off, nothing's deactivated, but it still won't play any sound. Which I find strange. It is, but it's not going anywhere, even though we said it's going to the master. It's not going anywhere, which I find extremely weird. Now it is, but yeah, so that's really cool. Speaking of the audio part, when you have audio, you can open it, double click. You have choices for stretch, onsets, pitch, panning, gain, and event. So event would be like automation. And you can like change, so you can add like fades like this. That's what this is missing that I was complaining about earlier. What I very much liked about Cubase, and pretty much only Cubase, is you could select an audio and quickly add a fade in or out by dragging. Like you just click on it and you drag over a box on the side and it would automatically bring in like a fade in. As far as I know, and I've checked pretty thoroughly, there is none of that, so you have to actually draw it every time, which is kind of a bummer. But I mean, like live pitch automation like this, I've never... That's cool, because I come from using FL Studio the most and Cubase and Ableton, and I've never seen that before, so I think that's really cool. You have this selection tool, which lets you like select like anything, like a mouse selector in like Word. Like if I were to come over to my computer and open up Notes and just write crap everywhere, it's like literally like doing this, and you can copy and duplicate like what you please, which I think is cool for a track like this. Oops. For a track like this, and I've got all this junk open, and I'm sitting here somehow viewing the whole project at one time, which is not happening, and I'm like, oh, I want this specifically, or like this, and snaps, and it knows what to grab and what not to grab. And also, if you have this, you have it going on where here there's a split somewhere. Say like I wanted to split this. There's a track here, right? I want to use that. This here is one full track in like this master thing. So I want to cut it halfway through. So I can just take this, select half of it, and do Control E, or right click and it will tell you. Control E, and it will cut it. And it'll, when you go into the track now, it's found whatever it was that was connecting the two, and it just cut it for you right down the middle. So, for example, it was this lev riser icing. So what it did was it just, oops, down here. It like cut it right there for me, because that was like the problem of why I couldn't separate the two parts. So it cut it for me. This makes no changes to the audio, because they're so closely played together that like this, if I were to do that, then it would, but like it's not. So yeah, now it's connected, you see. So that's what I'm talking about. That's pretty interesting. There's an eraser tool, so you can like select. I keep doing that. I'm gonna stop doing that. You're supposed to be on one, you're supposed to be on one, and then so there's an eraser as well. So say I have my chord stack open, and oh, look at all this junk. I can just like click erase, right, and do that. Or I can take the select tool, do this, and then Control E delete. Oh, that didn't work. Select it again, I guess, and then delete it. Oh, you know what? No, you can just click delete. Okay, that's what I thought. So I lied. You can actually just come in here, select what you don't want, click delete. It will auto split it for you. So now all that extra junk that wasn't doing anything is gone. Or if it was just one thing, you can grab the eraser and just drag from wherever you want, and it will delete it for you. You can backwards drag as well. You have a cut tool, which lets you cut like wherever you want. You can do that inside of like even on MIDI notes. That works as well. So does that erase function. There's an option to like have automation follow a clip. So if I have it following, what it's gonna do is when I want to select this clip here and drag, it's gonna take whatever was exactly under it with it. But if I turn this off and just move it, it won't do that anymore. So you can turn that on and off really simply with no problems. You can like the automation's stored very nicely inside here as well. You can click the automation lanes and they will open and close. Just 3 bars here. You can select through your MIDI. The pitch bend is so easily findable. It's just right there. And this is talking about the pitch bend on your MIDI keyboard that you have plugged in. I don't know if you were to not have a MIDI keyboard, if that would still work or not. I can't confirm. I don't think so. I believe it will still work, even if you don't have one. So I like how I can just select it and then pitch bend's right there. And then it shows you all the plugins, all the parameters. You want to go look for them. Another thing I forgot to mention is it will take your last tweaked knob and put it at the top of this list here. FL Studio did this, but you had to click a drop-down menu, go browse parameters, and make sure your browser was open. Go find it. It was usually somewhere like silly on the screen, like on the bottom of your screen, the last one. You had to click on it, automated, and you had to keep doing that for every single thing. And here, I can just like select it, come over here, add automation lane, select it, like back and forth. Less button clicking, and then what it will do is it'll actually add the automation lanes. So if I want to like do the wavetable position, let's do like the detune mount, and then like some random macro, add automation. It's not here, but if I click this little button, it will show the 3 that I've said to activate, and then I can just quickly delete them if I don't want them. You can like stretch out your automation or close it up tighter if you want. And you can add them as like a favorite. So this is like your favorite automation. So if there's automation you're not so concerned about, like a filter, but you want like pitch bend and stuff to be more apparent, you can favorite that and then just cycle between all or filter, or the favorite. You can close it again. I like how there's hotkeys. So when I select this MIDI or this track, more or less, I can press A. This will bring up any automation. I can stretch the screen up for like more in-depth automation if I wanted that. Or I can press E to shift tab, and this will bring up, well, just E alone will bring up your editing. If you press F while in this mode, it will bring up your editing mode for like drums or for already selected notes or outputs of that channel of whatever MIDI was going in here. So you can see here it's got the 5 notes I've put down, and not only those 5 notes. This is good if you want to like draw out a scale, and then if you use these notes, you know they're all in the same key. And and those will always be in the same key, so it eliminates any kind of keys you would never use in a song for like beginners, which I think is really cool. You have the velocity, you even have a gain for each MIDI note, and like pressure and timbre and all that. You can, what does this do? That's a good question. Oh, you can turn off the option to audition the piano keys when you move them around if you find it too annoying. That's also very nice because I haven't seen that option in like FL or anything. If you grab the piano roll on the side, you can click and drag right and left to thin it out or slow it down. If you're new and you want to know what all notes are, then this is the way to do it. You can double click and drag right, and I'll put the note to the right. You can do it up or down to change the velocity, which I think is very neat. You can move notes left and right without having to hold down any buttons like you have to in Cubase. And you can move them around. If you hold down shift, it'll move them like by the smallest increment possible. If you hold control, you can shorten or lengthen them. For some reason in Cubase, it's the other way around, so when I'd press left, it would actually just increase it to the left, which seems really weird. You can click this little button up here, which will show you all the stacks in your song currently. So if I want to say, oh, I want to know where the bass is, oh, the bass is down here, and I can edit the mode at the same time. So if I wanted this, I can just like, or whatever, right? Now I've got, come on. And it's there. And then if I click on this one, bring me back to that one, or this one. So if I click on this one, click somewhere, it'll bring me somewhere. So you can view like all your things at the same time. Although if notes are overlaying, you can't see them. I've got 3 notes overlaying on this one, and then 2 on these 3, and this one that you can't see. But you can see them if you just come in here and click on these. Will prioritize your notes, which I think is cool. You can close this or reset it by just double clicking it. You have the option to just view the MIDI you're looking at right now, and purely that MIDI, or any MIDI at that point in time. Okay, never mind then. So you can view just this MIDI, so you don't have to like look at the whole playlist of MIDI if I decide to drag things over here as well. Because I can also see these in here in like a big clip, which has its advantages, because you can move things around in here like you could on the playlist, or the arranger is what it's called. And I'm going to use my selection tool right now to do this. There's a record option for arming your tracks. They're always automatically armed, unlike in FL Studio, where you actually have to go arm them and then bounce the track. You can consolidate, so if I have these 2 things like this, and I select both, and then hold Control G, it will attach them between the middle. Oh, hang on a second. So what if I did this? Nope, doesn't do it. Shame. You can press, so A is for automation, E is for the notes, and while in the note part, you can select between the drum roll with the F, and you can press D for all your devices. There's a few other ones in here as well, I'm forgetting. B for the browser. L if you want to open up the launch sequence. This is for you if you have a launch pad, you can open this up. You can press M for the mixer on the bottom, so you can stare at what you're doing and mix at the same time. That's pretty cool. Bitwig has the best multi-monitor support I've ever seen. I'll show it, I suppose. I'm just gonna have to unfull screen here, which I do in my view. Full screen off, and I'm just gonna do that, and then open Bitwig, and we can come in here. Options is Control comma, just like Ableton. You can come into your, there's also a massive list of shortcuts that are fully customizable, no questions asked. Yeah, you can come into your displays here. You can see I have 2 displays, but I'm gonna set up I'm gonna say I have 3 displays. I've now got one for doing my oh, it might be crashing on me. is what I get. It's crashing because I have like multiple projects open. It's too much. It might crash entirely here. Let's see. It says it's running. It doesn't look very running to me. Oh, that's right. I have this open. Yeah, so you can see I have my MIDI stuff here. I believe there's a way to get your automation on this as well. But yeah, so I have one dedicated to MIDI, one dedicated to my arranger, and then one all the way over on the other screen that I can't move, which is dedicated to the mixer. I just can't move it for some reason. That's a fault on my end. I also can't move this either anymore. This is really weird. Now I can. What the heck? But I'm going to take that off because I don't have 3 displays, nor do I wish to use the 2. And you have different options for the dual display. So I usually use single display large like that. And we'll go back into full screen. There's a cool performance graph that you can view while doing things, and this shows your CPU basically. And like you can find out where your loads are, like what's making the most lag, which is very nice. There's many options in this program. I'm barely even covering these, and like this video is going on forever. It doesn't end because there's so many things I can talk about. There's a playlist here where you can view, you can change the volume, you can click anywhere inside of a click like anywhere inside there, in an audio track, and you can change the play position. You just drag them over. You can select multiple and just drag all of them over, and Bitwig will just lay down this nice rainbow for you of all your audio, and you can play it all at the same time because it's gonna sound great. And rest in peace, headphone users. And you can, yeah, that's just great. You can like organize your stuff very nicely in here. It's like all organized. You can favorite things as well. There's multiple search engines. It'll show you your VST plugins for browsers, like your devices. There's so much stuff I'm gonna miss while I'm talking about this. What else is cool that I can show? There's panning, obviously. Panning. There's muting. So the way this muting and the soloing is set up is very nice. Like you can just automatically solo all these things. And if you want to unsolo them all at the same time, you just shift click any of the solo buttons and it'll undo all of them. Or you can shift click on one that's not soloed. So if I have multiple soloed, it will just unsolo that one that I had soloed, which I find cool. It doesn't work that way for the mute track though. Although you could just, if you have multiple things muted, you could just click mute on all of them, or control click them all and then just click like mute, or just do control A and then just click the mute button until you figure out like what's going on. If you have a group, you can choose to go into that group, so that's all you're seeing. So it's like a project inside a project. Very nice. You have a metronome. You have a looping that you can draw and drag around, or move with the arrow keys, or extend by pressing up, or de-extend by pressing down. You have the option to follow the mouse wheel playing. If you're zoomed in like really far and you want to move, you can watch it move. There's punch in and outs as well while recording. I don't use that though, so you would have to. I wouldn't know how to do that. I believe how the punch in and out works is basically. Oh, that's how it works. So basically, how it works is if you have punch in out, when you come to this selection that you've made here, what it will do is it will turn on the recording when you enter it, and then when you leave, it will turn off the recording. But if you just have the punch in, it won't turn it back off again when you leave, and vice versa. where if you start recording, it will turn it off at a certain point. Like if I start recording over here, when I get to the end of this, it'll turn it off for me, which is helpful in and out of itself. So you have a punch in, punch out. So if you need to like listen to the music before you start playing something, very helpful. There is a record MIDI option when you have a MIDI track and you just press record, and like whatever you do, it just records the MIDI. No messing around with that. You can view the sends at the same time as viewing the mixer stuff, or you can put it away. There's launchpad support for all of this. You can have big meters, take that off, or you can look at launchpads, show fades between A and B, show your deactivated stuff, or just hide your deactivated stuff, show effects or hide them, show where the tracks are being inputted from, their input and output, or you can just not have that if you don't need it. Get rid of pretty much everything on the mixer if you so wanted to, and just have like whatever this is. That's what your mixer could look like if you wanted it to. Very good DAW. You can draw like this. Like just draw a bunch of junk. Just click everywhere. Or you can just have the mouse. I pretty much always use the mouse while doing this. You just double click and it makes a thing. I just resize it. It's no big deal. What I find nice, if I'm trying to make a note that's long, instead of dragging it, I can just come here. You're not what I wanted. Say I wanted this bass note, right? I plop it down. Here. It's selected. I just come over here and keep clicking scale, and it'll keep scaling it up. Like multiplying its length, as you can see as I click it. Where is it? Where'd it go? I just selected it again. You can do the same thing with audio. It'll time stretch it down 50% or double its time, and like move the audio around for you. It automatically like tunes all audio to your BPM. So if I throw in like vocals, so if I throw in these vocals here, they're meant to be played at 128. This is what they sound like at 128.
This isn't anything you could. This isn't.
And then if I decided, hey, let's make a drum step.
This isn't anything you could ever explain.
Keeps the pitch, but it adds that like bubbliness to when it speeds up the pitch without changing the pitch. It's trying to keep the pitch the same, so it uses like onsets to manipulate the audio to keep it the same, but it makes like that clicking. Unfortunately, there's very little you can do about it. You can select here though. You can just tell it, oh, repitch it, it's good.
This isn't anything you could ever explain.
So now it sounds clean, but it's just pitched. Or you can just leave it as what it was. So no matter what I do, it won't change the audio.
This isn't that.
It'll just do what FL Studio does by default, which is just like stretch it to appropriately fit the song, but it won't annoyingly ask you every single time. I can't get mad at FL Studio. It's just so good for beginners. And yeah, so when you have something too, so let's make a drum loop. No, you know what? This is easy enough shown with like this stuff here. Let's go find a drum loop. I'm not gonna make one because it's gonna take forever. So let's go find one. And wow, these are very obnoxious, aren't they? So here we go. We have a drum loop, right? Automatically stretching my loops for me as well. If you don't want to do that, again, just turn that off, like the setting. Now there's a loop function here. So when I start to drag this out, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically take, here's where the audio ended, where my mouse is, this part right here at 12 bars. That's where the audio ended, and it started at 4 bars. But when I went over the 12 bars, it just put where it started at 4 bars and repeated it itself, so it will just infinitely loop my loop. which is cool. You can just turn that off by pressing this button. There's a drum machine in Bitwig that I've already made a video on how it's just as powerful as battery. And for speaking of battery, a plugin that crashes for no reason, probably because I didn't download it properly. So I'll load my battery, right? Come on, battery, up here. I don't even care if this video is 40 minutes. This is necessary. Battery, I'm waiting. Come on, don't keep me waiting, man. Let's go. No, don't show them yet. This isn't how I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you what it could really do. Just load. There we go. So I don't think I have any like kits in here because I skipped that part. So you know what? Let's just take like this and be. What's really cool is this actually supports like a click and drag from the browser. Look at all this. Right? So I have all these loops. For some reason, when I try to close battery, it just crashes. That's really weird. So when I close it, anyways, you can see I have all the stuff done here. I can tweak knobs on the first one. Tweak stuff. And, this isn't what I wanted. Anyways, when I press close, battery works? What is this? Oh no, battery's working now. It's totally disproving everything I was just saying about like how the plugins crash. Basically, like if a plugin crashes on you, I can't force crash battery. It was crashing all the time, I swear, when I was using it. I don't know why it's not now. This is really confusing me. I would like get my battery crashing all the time on me. This is in my video trying to explain how battery is just as good as a drum machine. Basically, I tried to open it. This is how we do it right here. Click the button a bunch of times. Oh no, it didn't work. What the heck? Just crash. Yeah, let's do this. Click buttons, click buttons. Click all the buttons. It won't crash. When battery would have crashed, it would have saved all the data in it up to the last point. And you saw down there for a second there was like a warning triangle. It basically meant the plugin had crashed. And maybe some others had crashed at the same time as well. You can choose to reload every single plugin that crashed. But it doesn't crash Bitwig. So in any DAW ever, when you're using a plugin and your plugin's eating your CPU and causes your computer to stop communicating with itself and decide that it wants to close like your DAW because it's causing the problem, it won't do that. Bitwig will assess the problem before your computer does and just say, okay, well this plugin's not working. It will like save it and then close it and like deactivate the plugin entirely, just like how far to do. It pretty much just does this. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. It does this. Why is that deleting it? That's... What's happening? What? Oh, I'm hiding the deactivated channels. Alright. So when I deactivate it, it does this. It basically does that to the plugin, and then it will save everything though. So like if battery crashed when I had all those things in it. Oh, what? Okay. So if I had all my samples in here and all my settings and battery had crashed, it would be like, oh, well, it crashed. And it's like, okay, we'll like try to load it again. It would load it again. It would have all your samples and everything would be just fine. Bitwig might freeze, but it won't crash. And like you've seen, there's been points where it wants to crash, where it looks like it's going to, but it does figure itself out again, which is really, really cool. Bitwig's reverb is really nice. Their EQ is nice. Their compressor is nice. Like literally every plugin you see in here is really cool, and there's lots of like different ones. So another good example here is I have this serum. For all my basses, I like to throw stuff on them. So there's a chain you can get here, and you can pretty much drag stuff into this little box, and it'll chain them together like you see here. just hide them. So I can actually save this bass chain that I've made myself. It's got all these plugins in it, right? And when I click it, will hide them. But I have it saved like as a preset. So when I click on this over here, you can see that it says bass chain. It's made by me, and then you can save it. So I have like this bass chain saved. It saves all my settings and everything in it. So every time I open it, it's just right there ready for me. And that's a small reason of why I think it's one of the best DAWs. Apparently, there's even a user guide for this thing, which is cool, because I didn't think they had one. They update their stuff fairly regularly. At one point, they were doing an update a day for like 2 weeks or something, trying to bug fix their new update, because they were releasing their personal test versions of Bitwig to the public to use at their own risk, but they were also updating it to ensure that like people could still professionally use their DAWs and still get the maximum enjoyment out of like the new features they're adding. So when FL Studio 12 upgraded, for example, they did betas on like to test all the stuff they had added, but they would close their betas, and there were so many bugs. So what Bitwig will do is they'll add like a feature at a time. Like before, when I first started using Bitwig a long time ago, there was no group stuff, right? So everything would be like this. And if you wanted to route things the same audio track, you'd have to come in here and like find it in this long, like in here. Oh no, in here. You'd have to like come in here and find it in like this massive list of things, like all named like the same thing, and you'd have to like go and set it up, right? But like if you want to do a group sidechain, you literally just throw everything inside the same folder and it does it. And then like these are my folders right here. My sidechain, which is where everything I want sidechain goes. My drums, which is where like my drums go, and then like or my toms, the things I don't want sidechained. And everything inside this folder automatically gets sidechained because it's all going to here already. But when they didn't have groups, they released like a beta that added like almost pretty much just groups, and you could use groups. And then like the next update they added some new cool features like the browser and stuff, because that wasn't there at one point. So like it added the browser and then the group channels, and it added all these things to it over time through betas that were just being constantly updated, so you never had to like wait forever for a bunch of features at once. You just have little feature by little feature, like every week kind of deal. Like if you've ever played Minecraft, when they update their games, they like to release snapshots every week or two of their progress they've made. That's what Bitwig does, and they bug fix them for you so you can keep using them just like they do in like Minecraft and so forth. So that's really cool. I don't believe it's a large team of people who do this. I believe it's a small group. I'll check. Their group is very small, though. I know that for sure. It's not like a professional size team or anything, although I don't know that any DAW really has like a professional size team. Like Cubase and FL Studio, they all have like a team. FL Studio's team is pretty small as well. I'm not sure about the size of Ableton, but it's just a small group of like a mix of like younger and older people like handing down like what they've learned through making DAWs and doing this stuff, and then the younger people taking their innovative ideas as young inventors do and trying to press them forwards and make new things with them and do cool things. So that's what Bitwig is. They're working on like a multi-touch surface system for like having like Bitwig on like an iPad or something, or if you have an iPad set up as a monitor for some reason, you can touch it, use touchscreen. It supports touchscreens. That's what I mean about the multi-touch. They have this really intricate way of like selecting these tools I have on here by like clicking and dragging or using like a wheel system. Yeah, like it's really great, and they deserve a lot more attention because they're really tiny. I feel like trying to see how many. And they're really like with their community as well. Yeah, they don't have very many subscribers is what I'm trying to get at here. Like, they're pretty small. They're like small, and they definitely love the people that come with them. They love like the feedback. They take everything into account. Like, when people go on to their program, they're like FAQs and stuff and comment. They're all like on it. They take suggestions. They love getting the suggestions. They're all over everything. They're trying to make everything as good as they possibly can for everybody. So I went over most of the things. I didn't like do individual plugins things, but there'll be definitely tons of videos from me like going over this DAW and like using this DAW to make music or sounds and stuff. That if you just pay attention to what I'm doing, you'll see all the features and stuff. I know this DAW pretty well in and out. I'd say I could use this DAW expertly, like I could like FL Studio. Yeah, but like I really enjoy this DAW. It's like really, really cool. There's even MIDI in here. What's this for? Oh, that's where it put my MIDI. So I downloaded, like, I have MIDI because I'm just like, I got it from a sample pack, right? And it even sorted it automatically for me, and it's all right here, all sorted, all velocitized. If I come in here, I think I can reset the velocity of all of it. That's interesting. Shows like a graph. I don't know how to like. You can't default some of the things, which is kind of annoying. But I believe I can set all the velocities to the exact same, which is something you can't do in like Cubase, for example, or like FL Studio. It's a bit annoying to get that precise, like original, like thing going on. So yeah, even got like a cute little synth, like polysynth. But yeah, it's a really, really good DAW. Like, it has so much potential for a DAW like FL Studio, where after like 12 to 20 updates, they're there where they are right now. And then you have something like Bitwig, which came out under 2 years ago and is now at that same place in the core aspects. And they've got some things that FL Studio doesn't have, and like, which is cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to take everything from all the other DAWs and try to put it in one place. Like, they've got tons of features that I see in every DAW like I've ever used. Just, they've definitely like looked at the studied these DAWs and been like, yeah, I want this in here or whatnot. So it's really, really nice, because I think in like a year to like in a maximum of 5 years, this will probably be the number one thing DAW. And just wait till they add the functionality that they're really, really trying to push, where you can have multiple people in the same project, like on Google Docs, where you have the same people in the same Word project all editing the same things, and someone can delete what you did, add this there. That's what they want Bitwig to be. That's what they imagine it to see it in the future. Is you can, if you want to collab, bring on your friend, get on a Skype chat. It'll play like the audio separately for you guys, but you can like listen to what's going on, and you can like edit the DAW like in the DAW live. The best thing I think we have right now for that is Splice and Ableton together, and that's like a back and forth thing, not like a during. The best things happen like when you're both the same, like in the same environment, doing with your head in the game. If you're doing a collab, you don't want to be doing a collab over like Skype trying to send audio files back and forth. You want to be like, you want to have that dude in the same room as you, with one of you guys like taking turns going back and forth with the computer. So like, if you can be at different computers across the world, collabing with people will just be so easy in Bitwig. That's why I just recommend you get on this as fast as possible, like using this DAW, get used to it. So like, when this time comes and you're professional or not, when you get professional or you just want to have fun with friends, you know how to use this DAW, and you know how to like, you can do it live with people, which is really cool. So it's great. That was my rant about this DAW, and I do honestly think it will be one of the best in the near future. So much potential for just what they've done in 2 years versus the other DAWs and what they've done. Granted, FL Studio and Ableton and such started from a very low base where there wasn't much to begin with, which is why I think Bitwig has so much more potential, is because they're seeing what everyone's doing around them and they've watched what they've been doing and they've seen the kind of progress they made. So they're trying to shoot for like harder and faster progress and more updates, like more smaller updates, and trying to really get that stuff out there. Right now though, for the time being, they're not really updating their DAW too much because they're trying to work on the multi-touch. They're trying to do like touch stuff, like really intricate touch stuff. They're trying to beat like FL at their touchscreen stuff they've got set up right now. They're trying to like get some really cool stuff going down so you can work really fast with your hands on a touchscreen in case you don't want to use a mouse and keyboard and that just works better for you. This is really impressive. Alright, thanks for watching. It's massively long and no one's going to watch this, but if you really care about this kind of stuff, then you will. Goodbye.